The World Health Organization estimates that at least 700 million people around the world are at risk of infection from schistosomiasis, commonly known as Bilhazia. 90% of all schistosomiasis cases are in sub-Saharan Africa, and Uganda is one of them. In Uganda, 7 million people are said to be infected, and 16 million people are at risk of contracting Bilhazia.
Bilhazia in Uganda, you cannot say it is this percent generally because it's a focal disease, so it varies from district to district. So the best description is that Bilhazia occurs in more than 80 districts, and the percentage varies from 5% to up to 100% in some places.
In Uganda, the high prevalence cases have been noted to occur in the areas around the shores of Lake Albert and along the River Nile in northwest Uganda. Areas around or in the islands of Lake Victoria have also registered varied prevalence of Bilhazia infections. When infected persons defecate or urinate in any water source, the eggs are released into the water and develop into Bilhazia worms, which enter snails and grow and are released and can infect humans in contact with the infected water body. Due to poor hygiene and sanitation practices, Bilhazia infected people contaminate water bodies with Bilhazia germs. The disease affects any person who gets in contact with infected water sources. Snails found in and around water bodies are the main carriers of the Bilhazia worms.
Matij para abati matij padwar nam to musongoroge to musongoro eni ndege ndeja kile maga shana shando chako nyanya yame pong eni paka koko e koko no chako pong ko ya ponga ke ino koko eni Bilhazia eno ke gangi tingo da ya chako meo bare ame abiru monyango ampori abiru kuluro pare kumrem endi abanana monyo anano ya endi ema ko beda ebe ginde ebe enyo eto ebe dok la melange ebe do male dana makoro baya abwashi jama ko ka kudigi kwer baya gebege monye kudigi bege luor anya baya kudubi luor baya plan baya chingma iya anano ya ebe do pong mashako ne monya nana aloka moko ebe me iya makungu budu lure na kubege monye.
The problem of Bilhazia along the Albertine and River Nile area has been quite high. Prevalence figures had gone up to 100% here at Panyamur. Also other places like Pakwach, Panyango, we had up to 70-80% prevalence of schistosomiasis. Children often fail to go to school because of rampant stomach ache, rampant nausea. At that time, it was extremely difficult to get praziquantel. To say treatment was not accessible for those who really wanted it, because we had achieved a very big success by 2004 when we treated virtually every community member and almost every pupil in school was treated, to the extent that in all schools in Jonam, including Panyamur, by 2004, 2 months after treatment, the prevalence was checked to be found at 4%.
The level of spread is high because, you know, in this landing site, maybe let me say that around the landing site, we have the floating population. They always look where there is a fish, so that is also a very big challenge. Well, some people are coming from Congo, some people are coming from different landing sites. Find that they come, they stay maybe for just around like 2 months, they go. They don't construct a latrine. So that is also a problem.
most severe disease here is not malaria, it is not Ebola, it is schistosomiasis. We have 2 or 3 deaths per week of schistosomiasis. Once you reach a certain point, on certain level of disease, it is extremely difficult to block the disease, extremely difficult to stop the disease and to cure the patient. This is a very bad disease because you never know that that the disease is developing in your body until it is too late. You only know that you have a severe schistosomiasis when you begin vomiting blood. And often it is too late. Therefore, you can vomit the blood or the blood can go through the stool. Therefore, if you have very bloody stool, not a little bit of blood, very bloody stool, it is as bad as vomiting blood. It means your varices are just have blown up, and this is that you must be very careful.
So schistosomiasis is a bloodworm, or in truth it's a blood fluke as we call it. So there are several types. There is one which attacks your gastrointestinal system and liver, and there is the other which goes to the urinary system. So what happens when you get infected, it goes through your skin and then travels through your lung and so forth and enters into your bloodstream. It will lodge in certain places, and usually it may lodge around the gastrointestinal system because there is a huge, nice blood supply there, or it may affect the urinary tract system.
In 2003, Ministry of Health Uganda launched a Bilhazia control program with support from partners through a mass drug administration MDA activity in communities and schools to control and eliminate the widespread infections of Bilhazia in Uganda. The program reached the high endemic areas with drug administration through the engagement of district health workers, community volunteers, and village health teams.
We were of recent giving these tablets. We were telling people at least to have a meal. But of course this was a challenge, especially in schools. We do advise parents, please provide something in the form of a meal before these children do take the tablets. If somebody is hungry, it is likely that it will have more side effects because of these tablets than it would be when this person is fed.
Village health teams and community health workers have played very significant roles in reaching communities, even in hard-to-reach areas.
ng'olaba akabuto nga kakola ki kazimba oyiseewo saawa 2 mwezi then ogakozesa obuko buba bukoze ki buba bufudde.
Ekintu ekisookera ddala nsooka kubasomesa enkozesa gy'olina okukozesa eddagala eryo n'olyoka olimira. Buli muntu gwe ngenda okugabira eddagala nsooka mugamba amala okulya, era buli amala okulya n'alimira tulabawo mbeera yonna ki bavye ekitiba nange tusobole okukwatira wamu endwadde zino singa ffe bennyini tuzirwanako kijja tuyamba, era ne gavumenti naye tukwatireko tulabike nga naffe tunywereza ddala.
Abataka bagumiza okuba nga bafuba okumira amakerenda aga Bilhazia kubanga malungi gawonya, era nze nagebonera ku n'amaiso gange nga gawonya kubanga omwana ole yali atutwaire ku sente eningi aye amakerenda ga Bilhazia agamuwonya bagamuwa bwerere. Twali tulowooza nti bamuloze nga tugire ku by'ekirugavu, aye ng'era we bamuwa eddagala eryo ery'ekirugavu olubuto lweyengera akola ki kuzimba. Akaziba nange nze mbakulubiriza omulango okuba nti batemwa okwenda okumira amakerenda ga Bilhazia n'okubona omwana we nga mulwaire ekifo eky'okumutwala ku basawo b'ekirugavu basookenga okumutwala mu idwaliro n'amakerenda ago bagaba gaidi babe nga baidumbira okuwa abaana nibe okugakozesa.
have seen many districts having reduced intensity of the disease or the disease magnitude, and some places the infection levels have reduced. So the partners have contributed a lot in combating the disease.
Uganda has made very strong strides in the fight to control schisto. It was one of the first countries to set up a national schisto program in 2002 with the help of many partners, including the SCI and DFID, and more recently in 2007 RTI-Envision with funding from USAID.
The effect of not administering drugs in institutions like this one, you would be giving an opportunity to given diseases to spread very fast. Let's accept government calls, let's accept government programs as they come.
We've been taking Bilhazia medicine to prevent the spread of Bilhazia. I advise my friends to go to health centers to be given those medicines because Bilhazia is a very deadly disease.
I advise my fellow pupils not to absent themselves while we are being given the Bilhazia medicine to prevent Bilhazia infections.
The MDA program has had a steady progress, with many communities around Uganda receiving or are yet to receive treatment. As the MDA program registers a steady progress, areas that have been covered, like Busia in eastern Uganda at the border with Kenya, a number of success stories have become a model for other communities to learn from.
If there is any chance for treatment, let us involve all the children. Make sure every person, every child at your school takes drugs. That one will help to reduce the prevalence of Bilhazia. So the community around the lakes, especially we people who are around the lake, the whole of Lake Victoria, or other lakes, or even the rivers, let us use latrines if we are to curb the spread of Bilhazia.
Nende abadwaye kano ndakafuna aka Bilhazia ngahoranga mu nyanja sikasindi ndira masonko sikasindi naba sikasindi njabo musenyo n'obudwaye buno ni buchako kusumbuwa muno ngachako onyarada mabanga budano abasawo ni bachako kuleta ma alesika Bilhazia era ndakamiraho emika ngajidatu ndabo n'obudayi obudwaye obugwicha bwahendera era bwahonya muno nende mu family yange mbere ndi kusaba mbo government na yendereyo kutuleranga sa otuleteranga malesi
kuhende sile bulwaye obwo mungere ino kwaba macho nikwabora nano handi ababiye kitibosi balu tuhonya kutife ba LCC boso kubita mu bandu obabora ngandi banyala bakhola sina banyala bateresa bahendesa ubudaye ba Bilhazia mayumbaka.
In those sub-counties where we have had that are endemic with Bilhazia, we have used the political leadership and the environmental health staff to mount sanitation campaigns in an effort to improve on the pit latrine coverage, because those two things move together. We want to attribute our success on the involvement of teachers. They have been of help in our communities, especially the organized communities in schools. So it has been a multi-sectoral approach. This success has been attributed to that multi-sectoral approach.
As Busia district registers successes in the fight against schistosomiasis in Uganda, many parts of Uganda are still grappling with challenges of infections and reinfection. Jinja district, a high-populated urban centre and a common tourist town, is still faced with similar challenges of Bilhazia infections due to continued Lake Victoria and River Nile-related activities amidst poor sanitation.
In most programs, we have tended to leave out towns, even we technical people, thinking for them they are able, they know, they exposed, and therefore they may not need to be addressed. The problem may not quickly be addressed compared to the rural.
I think majority of the problem of persistent disease, persistent high mobility, it is due to lack of treatment or poor treatment coverage. We must ensure that the treatment coverage is very high so that those people who have not developed the severe mobility are prevented from developing it.
Uganda was one of the first countries to start piloting this new strategy and some of the tools that supported the new strategy for not just schistosomiasis control but the other neglected tropical diseases as well.
The biggest challenge is sanitation. Latrine coverage is very low, especially at the landing sites, because latrine construction is very difficult, the water table is very high, and most people prefer to help themselves in water where they fish. And this one keeps a vicious cycle of infection and reinfection and maintains the Bilhazia cycle at a very high infection rate.
Though Uganda still registers a relatively high Bilhazia prevalence, the question is, what more can be done to overcome the challenge?
WASH is very important to prevent reinfection of the people and also to prevent continuous contamination of the water bodies. And it is an important component in preventing the transmission cycle of schistosomiasis. Uganda is doing very well in the control of neglected tropical diseases. We have eliminated or we are at the verge as a country of eliminating several of them, and we think that Bilhazia should not defeat the country. We know that with some support and guidance, the country will also control Bilhazia. But the key is in implementing the package of interventions. Given the past track record of the country in disease control, especially of neglected tropical diseases, if there is a willingness also, like I have seen, to double our efforts, we should be able to control Bilhazia in the coming few years.
RTI Envision started working with the Ministry of Health in 2007, and Bilhazia was among the NTDs we started working on. And we started with supporting the mapping of areas where Bilhazia was endemic, and we went ahead to procure Bilhazia drugs, praziquantel, to conduct mass drug administration in the endemic areas. We also engaged in training and sensitization of community leaders to be aware of the MDA exercise, and this would increase uptake of the medication. We also carried out updating of registers for people eligible for mass treatment and also know the quantity of drugs required before engaging in the mass treatment exercise. Well, as we used to believe that Bilhazia disease for the poor, unfortunately has turned out that anybody is susceptible. It's a question of stepping in infected water. Whether you are swimming or getting there just for leisure, you will get infected. And therefore, investment in treatment for Bilhazia is critical for all governments for their own socio-economic development at national, but also at family level, because a sick population is not productive. I'm hopeful that Bilhazia will be controlled to a level where Uganda can comfortably say we have reached a threshold where the disease is no longer a threat to the population.
We can protect ourselves from Bilhazia. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Avoid contact with lake, river, dam and swamp water. Take the free medicine offered in schools and communities each year. Relieve yourself in a latrine or toilet and never in or near a water body. Put a stop to Bilhazia before Bilhazia stops you.